Did you know that even war has rules? Many decades ago, the international community decided to stop large-scale deaths of civilians during wars and armed conflicts. Thus, the rules of war were created, which forbade the killing of civilians, the infliction of harm and torture on prisoners, and the launching of lethal weapons into unprotected settlements. Despite the fact the rules of war were set out in international treaties such as the Geneva Convention, the Rome Statute, and other international laws and agreements, many of which Russia is a signatory to, but they do not follow these rules, as you well know. Could you imagine this sound every night for years? Explosions, not knowing if tonight's the night, tucking your kids in bed, your loved ones, and it goes on, and you just want it to stop. You just want it to stop. In this video, we're going to cover a Russian edict called the Present and Future Russian World. It's a document that was voted into law quietly last year and significantly affects the point of view of the Russian government on the war in Ukraine, the future of Ukraine, and the plans after Ukraine. Hello, how you doing today? This is Alan with Facts Not Feelings. So, no matter what your thoughts are on the Ukraine-Russia war, Putin has lost a lot of people, a lot of soldiers, a lot of hardware. It's absolutely incredible the amount of losses that he has taken, and he's still, it hadn't slowed down. He just keeps on. It's like he just doesn't faze him at all, which is, it's actually kind of strange. It's unusual. Anywhere else in the world, those kind of losses and the public would be up in arms. They would be going crazy. Putin will lose more soldiers than the United States lost. He'll lose more soldiers in a few weeks than the United States lost in 20 years in combat in the Middle East. So I was curious as to why in the world why are his people even dealing with this? Why are they putting up? And I know they're scared. I know that it's authoritarian. I know you can go to jail for very little for just saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. You can do serious time in jail. But my gosh, he's got 140. So back in 2012, when Putin was running for office for his third term, a newly appointed Russian Orthodox Patriarch, Kirill, actually was protesting against the corruption in the election and supporting the people that were protesting. He was actually went to the Kremlin and was saying to Putin and his people that they should really listen to the population, listen to what people had to say, that he thought their concerns were valid. Well, it took a lot of courage to do that, and Putin usually would have disappeared. Somebody like him, he would have fallen out of a window, drank some poisonous tea, the routine. But he is in the Russian Orthodox Church, he would be equivalent to the Catholic Pope. So this guy has a lot of sway, a lot of pull with the Russian people. And Putin instead apparently bought him off. Apparently he definitely partnered with him because he completely changed his tune. And in fact, later on that year, Kirill began to say that Putin was appointed by God, that he was a gift from God, that he was the best thing that ever happened to Russia, and that the Russians should be lucky that they have Putin as their president, that Putin should be a president for life. Ironically, Kirill started getting... So this document right here is called The Present and Future of the Russian World. This is actually an official document that was put together by Putin and the Russian Patriarch of the Orthodox Church, Kirill, and was made official March 27th, 2024 during the Cathedral Congress, which took place, as I said, March 27th, 2024, in the Hall of Church Councils of the Cathedral of Christ the Savior in Moscow, under the chairmanship of the head of the World Russian People's Council, His Holiness Patriarch Kirill of Moscow, and all Russia. The instruction of the 25th World Russian People's Council, the present and future of Russian world, was approved. This document summarizes the most significant proposal put forward within the framework of the work of expert platforms, and during the plenary session is the document of the 25th World Russian People's Council, as well as an order addressed to the legislative and executive authorities of Russia, explaining the new ideology of Russia. And this truly takes away the guesswork that everybody seems to have on what is Putin's plans for the future. It spells it out, what their intentions are, what Putin's intentions are. It's an 8-part edict, and part 1, special military operation. So I'm just going to read it to you. The special military operation is a new stage of the national liberation struggle of the Russian people against the criminal Kiev regime and the collective West behind it, which has been waged on the lands of Southwest Rus since 2014. During the SMO, special military operation, the Russian people, with arms in hand, defend their life, freedom, statehood, civilization, religious, national, and cultural identity, as well as the right to live on their own land within the borders of a single Russian state. From a spiritual and moral point of view, the special military operation is a holy war, in which Russia and its people, defending the single spiritual space of Holy Rus, fulfill the mission of the Restrainer, protecting the world from the onslaught of globalism and the victory of the West that has fallen into Satanism. So essentially what they're doing is they're declaring the special military operation now a holy war that is Russia against the evil West. The West is European countries. Anyone that supports Ukraine is considered the West. And Russia is tasked with the Restrainer, meaning to hold back the power of evil and protect the world. So this right here allows Putin to justify all of the losses that he has incurred, because every Sunday morning from pulpits around any Russian-speaking areas where there is a Russian Orthodox Church, this is the type of thing that they talk about, that the priests talk about. They talk about this holy war. And if you're curious about what the plans are for Ukraine, after the end of the SVO, the entire territory of modern Ukraine must enter the zone of exclusive influence of Russia. The possibility of the existence on this territory of the Russophobic political regime hostile to Russia and its people, as well as political regime controlled from an external center hostile to Russia, must be completely excluded, meaning every aspect of Ukraine must be eliminated and removed from the equation. So if people think that Russia is going to have a ceasefire before they have taken control of the entirety of Ukraine, absolutely not. Not unless they're completely physically forced to. And if they're not forced to, they will not stop fighting. They will not stop
murdering civilians. They will not stop this, as they call it, holy war. Russia is the creator, support, and protector of the Russian world. The borders of the Russian world as a spiritual and cultural civilization phenomenon are significantly wider than the state borders of both the current Russian Federation and the greater historic Russia. Scattered throughout the world. The Russian world includes all of those for whom the Russian tradition, the shrines of Russian civilization, and the great Russian culture are the highest value and meaning of life. The highest meaning of the existence of Russia and the Russian world it created. Their spiritual mission is to be the world restrainer, protecting the world from evil. The historic mission is to repeatedly destroy attempts to establish universal hegemony in the world, attempts to subjugate humanity to a single evil principle. See if this sounds familiar. The construction of 1,000-year Russian statehood is the highest form of political creativity of Russians as a nation. Does that sound like the 1,000-year Reich? Maybe? It does to me. The division and weakening of the Russian people, the deprivation of their spiritual and vital forces has always led to the weakening and crisis of the Russian state. Therefore, the restoration of the unity of the Russian people, as well as their spiritual and vital potential, are key conditions for the survival and successful development of Russia and the Russian world in the 21st century.
To recap this video, we looked at how Putin has utilized and weaponized his relationship with the Russian Orthodox Church, and how he uses it every week to brainwash and to hypnotize and mesmerize people all over Russia and anywhere there's Russian-speaking people, which is his plan. His goal is to expand the Russian Empire to wherever there's Russian-speaking people. And so he's utilizing the power of religion, false doctrine, yes, false, absolutely, using lies and deception, but he's using the power of a Sunday morning pulpit to persuade people, to demonize his enemies, to paint themselves as holy and righteous and good, and the enemies are evil, and that they're fighting against an end-time apocalyptic enemy, that they're holding back the gates of hell, they're holding back evil, they are the restrainer, that they have a holy mandate, and that the losses they have suffered so far are a small price to pay. That if it goes to 2 million losses, he's fine with that, as long as they win. The truth is that Putin just wants to stay in power, and that he will do whatever it takes, and the man is evil and has no conscience. And because he cannot gain any ground on the battlefield, because his soldiers are awful at fighting wars, he takes it out on civilians, because that's all he can do. That's all he can do is target civilians night after night. And it's sad, and it needs to stop. And people need to, the world needs to continue to support Ukraine. We need to step up efforts in supporting Ukraine. I wish Donald Trump would take some evasive action like he did against Iran. I'm not sure what. I'm not saying bunker busters. I'm saying just something to make a decisive difference in this conflict, and to sit Putin down, to put an end to the suffering of the Ukrainian people. They have fought a good fight. They have battled. They are heroic. They are impressive and amazing, and they deserve our respect. They deserve our support, no doubt. So if you watch this video, I appreciate you. Like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.